Hi and welcome to this week's Three Legs Four Wheels F1 podcast. It's Paul here with
Sean.
Chris.
Lee.
First off, just an apology for last week because two of us came down with what can only be described as ugh.
I vomited many times. Many times.
Yes, there's that stomach bug going round, and it went round the house.
All two of you.
All two of us. We had all two symptoms associated with it.
It was two patients, one toilet.
Oh, God.
Thankfully, we didn't have a huge overlap in symptoms, so as I finished, Paul began. It was like a relay.
You passed the baton on with purpose and intent.
There was definitely passing, I'll say that.
Yeah.
Other than that, how's everyone else been for the last couple of weeks?
All right,
Good.
Yeah, Lee, you were in the mosh pit last Monday?
Yeah, went to watch Jimmy at 6. I'm a friend's band supporting them. Really good. Got 2 new tattoos since I've last spoke to you. That's quite nice.
Shaved your head?
Shaved my head. I've got no hair anymore. Although, the reason I shaved my head was because it was going a bit thin on top. But I'm thinking it was due to a medication I was on. And since then, a listener's actually got in touch with me and told me that they were also put on the same medication I'm not taking anymore. And they lost their hair as well. But they've told me that after like 3 months when they stopped taking it, their hair started growing back normally. And since I shaved my head off, you know how you're getting the stubbly thing every day where it starts to grow back?
No, because I've never shaved my head.
Yeah, I was going to say you're in a minority here.
Yeah, but where the stubbly bit's coming back, it doesn't seem to have any like holes. It seems to be all even across my head.
Oh, it was actually proper losing hair with holes in where the hair should be.
It was just a bit thin, but like feeling it, it feels all right. I don't know what to do now. I've been like properly down to wood, like wet shaving it. I don't hate it. It's fine. Oh yeah, I have nothing more to add on the hair stakes.
Our hair game expert is now hairless.
Yes, yeah. Well, I think it's the best way to be because now I can truly appreciate other people's hair.
You've also got to know when to let it go, haven't you? Let's be honest.
Yeah, we were just talking about this during the race yesterday. Felipe Massa.
Yeah.
Needs to let it go.
Well, the thing is, he's been like that since 2008.
Yeah, but he's got the full-on sunroof now.
Yeah, but he definitely had that when he fake retired, when he walked down the pit lane with a Brazilian flag.
Yeah.
That was like, 5-6 years ago now? So,
I mean, it probably didn't help when Sky interviewed him at the weekend and did it so that he had his back to the wind.
no, probably not.
Yeah, the very wide back of the head parting.
Also, do they not have boot polish in Brazil? I mean, I'm sure you could just paint his head black and it wouldn't look so bad. Yeah.
Oh, you can get hair in a can all over the place, surely.
It's just black spray paint.
I'm going that grey. I may be tempted to give that a go, not to hide the scalp, just to hide the white bits.
Hey, there's always Photoshop.
When I learn how to use it. Anyway, moving swiftly on. Right, so, yeah, we had a race this weekend in Brazil, didn't we?
There was a race in Brazil, indeed.
Technically, there was only one race because what happened on Saturday isn't a race.
Although Sky have started calling it a race. I don't know if you've noticed this. The word race has crept back into Sky's lexicon, and they are using it freely in conversation.
That may come down to Martin Brundle's if it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck.
Then it's a chicken?
Yeah. I mean, a bunch of people line up in a row and then they go round and round and some people overtake each other and then there's a checkered flag. It does kind of look like a race.
I don't think there's a problem with calling it a race, is there? It's just that they don't want it mixed up with the Sunday main event Grand Prix. It's not a Grand Prix, but it is a race.
So call it the Petit Prix.
While we're talking about the sprint race, have you heard about what it's looking like it's going to be next year?
Is it
6 events.
6, I think they've said, isn't it?
Yeah, but have you heard about how it's going to work into the weekend?
No.
That they're going to have like a Formula One sprint championship, which is its own thing, and
Interesting.
the Friday qualifying is still on Friday, but the qualifying on Friday makes the grid for Sunday's Grand Prix. It's undisclosed at what the sprint race grid will be, how that'll be made up, whether it'll be championship order or reverse grid pole or something like that. I'm not sure about it. I especially after this weekend, I quite like the sprint race depicted in the grid for Sunday.
Yeah. I don't know how it would work.
Well, everyone that says, because I've noticed this quite a lot on Twitter, everyone's saying like how we've just had the best race in Formula One history, blah 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 blah, are also the same people that have been knocking the sprint race all year. Well, unfortunate motherfuckers, because if we didn't have the sprint race, that race wouldn't have happened.
Correct. Yeah, I had this conversation as well. It's 0.3 of a race, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, we wouldn't have got the full Grand Prix without having the 0.3 of a race that we had on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm not sure about a sprint race championship though. I mean,
I don't see the point in it.
It's a little bit sort of participation award, isn't it?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if they're going to do something like that, have it for test and reserve drivers.
Yeah, they've got this graphic they keep flashing up at the moment about the most overtakes. It kind of just highlights that you're qualifying out of position.
Mm.
Yeah, although I've been noticing that Alonso and Vettel are leading the way with the overtakes at the moment.
Yeah.
With Lance Stroll in third,
Yeah, because he's shit at qualifying.
as pointed out in Brazil.
The other thing I noticed in qualifying was the teeny tiny tyre award for the fastest qualifier. You can't say pole. Was the Speed King award. So did the fastest pit stop get the smoke on the water presentation?
Well, no one did a pit stop during the sprint.
No, I'm just throwing out Deep Purple songs and awards for the. Okay, but yeah, they still gave
Does
out.
that mean Hamilton wins the Black Knight Award?
Oh,
There you go.
well in.
I had to get there with something Deep Purple related.
Run out of songs of theirs now. They've only got those 3, haven't they?
Yeah.
So they still give the Pirelli go-kart wheel to whoever gets fastest in qualifying. So it's not a pole position award anymore. Because now, if you win the sprint, was it laurel wreaths again on Saturday?
It was hilariously.
No
Massa had to do the reefing, and it was a massive reef, and it was about the same height as him.
Yeah, and Bottas isn't like the world's tallest man either.
It was a very awkward setup.
I want to see Yuki Tsunoda win a wreath.
Well, I mean,
The
as
reef would
hilarious
wear
that would
Tsunoda
be,
rather than Tsunoda wearing the reef.
Yeah, I think so.
As hilarious that might be, I think you're going to be unlucky, Flood.
Yeah, I don't. We need 19 other drivers not to do anything in order for that to happen.
Mm.
Oh,
I think Tsunoda.
No,
I think
I'd go-
Tsunoda is the worst driver on the grid.
No, I'd go 18 other drivers not to do anything because Mazepin would find a way of being a minute slower.
I think in the same car, Mazepin would be a better driver than Tsunoda.
Did Mazepin try to run Tsunoda over in F2 once?
Hey, can we talk
that
about
Tsunoda?
Mazepin crying?
Yeah, I think he's had emotions installed.
Did anyone else see this?
Yeah, but they're
Post qualifying.
Yeah, when they were interviewing him after qualifying, and he thought he could have made it through to Q2 and didn't.
Did anyone else think that, or was that just him?
Apparently, he was on a very, very decent lap until he lost the back end at turn 12. But a very, very decent lap for Nikita Mazepin is probably ahead of Mick Schumacher.
Mm.
I'm going to get 19th. I'm going to get 19th. Oh, I'm 20th. But yeah, I saw him have a little sob in the interviews afterwards. You know, it turns out he has got feelings, and he's not just a robot. Now, if they can program driving skill in there as well alongside it,
He can upgrade.
yeah, that is, Mazepin 11. Yeah, for anyone that's had the Windows 11 alert yet, if you've installed it, let us know how it goes, because I'm too scared.
I haven't had mine yet, and that's fine. Although knowing my luck, I'll probably get it mid-podcast.
Just don't click. If it comes mid-podcast, leave it where it is.
Oh, I've got the alert right in front of me mid podcast, and I am not touching it. Oh, what's that one do? Sorry, somebody's trying.
Goodbye, everyone.
Somebody's trying to send me something on Dropbox. I'm going to stay well away from that. Anything else we noticed about the sprint race, except for the obvious? How king fast was that Mercedes? Well, how fast was Lewis in that Mercedes?
Yeah, aside from that, the sprint race was... People are a little too tentative, aren't they? I mean, unless you are someone like Lewis Hamilton, and I don't want to make this entire podcast all about one man, but he was a front driver who obviously was put at the back, had a much faster car, and a real sort of desire to get as close to the front as possible. Everyone else was a little too tentative, almost like, oh, well, I could maybe take a position, but I'll just sit here because 12th is better than not finishing at all.
I think this is it, isn't it? It's obviously, this is the first one I think we've really had where someone has been very out of position, so that was quite entertaining, but I think we've seen this in the last ones, that actually after the first couple of laps you don't want to make that mistake. Like, was it Gasly in Italy that just like ended up fucking it up and right at the back? Like, the weekend's over for one mistake.
Yeah. Pretty much, yeah. And then I don't think he started the race, did he, because of damage to the car or something, or it wasn't starting up properly.
There was some drama.
Lando Norris, wasn't it, who had they were interviewing after the sprint race, and they wanted to speak to him about Hamilton passing him into turn one, and Lando just said, "Look, I'm not even going to bother defending it. Like, why? Like, he's going to finish ahead of me anyway, so I may as well just let him go through, and I've made 2 places already. I'm doing okay."
And the fact that the only person that really had a vested interest in Lewis passing Lando was currently sat in 10th because of the penalty, and then they were getting bumped down to 11th.
Yeah. So
needs more points. That's the
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they don't want to give like half points, like the proper thing, do it 10-1.
So am I right
Top
in
10.
saying that if they were to do a sprint championship this year, that it's Valtteri Bottas who leads the sprint championship at the moment?
See, that makes it
I
even
thought
more
so.
a little bit of a consolation prize, doesn't it?
I think Bottas is way out. Well, I know they only did 3 events, so there's no more sprints to come, but I think he is the sprint king of this year.
Cool.
I like the idea of having some sort of prize giving or something at the end of the year for whoever does better in the sprint. But I still like the idea of it forming the grid as well. I think you could do both.
The problem with it forming the grid, though, is that's when you get the unless they give it a downside more points. That's when the risk reward thing comes in.
Yeah.
And are you going to screw up your weekend for? You got a chance of getting 6 points, or are you going to try and hang on and try for more points the following day?
I mean, if you've got 10 points plus for a win, that's a championship swinger for anybody. If you can, if all of a sudden you end up winning 2 sprint races, you've nearly got a race win under your belt. So,
excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose that's the way to look at it. If they're doing half distance races, and it is half points, then I don't see what the problem would be in somebody winning 2 half races and that equaling a full race of points.
They'd have to tweak the actual point system though, so we don't end up with half points on the.
Yeah, I
championships
think I
again.
said
Yeah.
that a couple of weeks ago.
What
didn't I,
about
as well?
what about going back to the old points scoring system? Because for the sprint races, where the top 8 score points, and it's like 10, 8, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1, or whatever it was.
Yeah.
10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
That would work, but I read somewhere saying they don't want to make the sprint races too similar to the F2 and F3 ones, and that's the scoring system they use in the sprints.
It will be from next year, isn't it? Isn't that what they're doing? They're offering that kind of point scoring system.
Yeah, and it's what they did last year. Last year as well, when it was 2 races a weekend, rather than.
I mean, realistically, if they were going to, if they had any brains about them for these things, especially if F2 is getting you ready to go into Formula One, I think the race weekend format should be exactly the same.
It does seem strange, doesn't it, when you're setting up F3, F2 as the path to say,
Yeah.
oh, we absolutely cannot have the same format as them.
Yeah. Do it the same way. Quali on the Friday for F3. Have the sprint race for F2 on the Saturday, and then the feature race on the Sunday, just like Formula One.
Yeah, I mean it would make perfect sense, but when has the F1 organisation ever made perfect sense? Because don't forget they own F2 and F3 these days.
That's true. Who fucking knows? But anyway, let's talk about the race.
Well,
Stop
I was
talking
going to
about
say
sprints.
before we start on the race, because we're still going through the sort of sprint and qualifying section of it. Before what happened on Sunday, Wingate.
Oh, God. Do you know
Well,
when...
if you fail... Sorry, go on.
I was going to say, do you know when you wake up and you're scrolling through Twitter and you're like, okay, what have I missed overnight? And you see something, you're just like, no, I'm clearly not awake yet. That can't be a thing. The idea that just the whole, how Verstappen came to be involved in that shitstorm was just, what the actual fuck?
Yeah, and I've seen a lot of people complaining about, well, Vettel goes around and touches cars, and he's been doing it for years. Vettel usually is clever enough to he go and have a look, but he doesn't touch the cars until after the race.
There was
Now,
only
after
one.
the race, there's no Parc Fermé conditions. His Parc Fermé finishes as soon as you cross the finish line.
Yeah, there was only one big one I could see where he sort of nudged the Mercedes forward with his foot, and then the Ferrari.
I think that was
Yeah.
post-race.
Yeah, don't know where he was checking, but I mean, I'm sure it wasn't. First of all, but there's nothing to. I mean, what my defense would have been if I was Mercedes, that well, Max Verstappen broke our fucking rear wing. That's why.
Even Lewis Hamilton, apparently in the hearing, said that there's no way that him touching the wing for that amount of time would have caused it to fail, and
Oh,
it failed.
yeah.
And it failed the test by 0.2 of a millimeter.
Yeah.
So a fifth of a millimeter is
Yeah.
what it failed the test on. But I mean, there are limits to limits, and if you fail the test, you fail the test, regardless
Yeah.
of what it's about. I mean, look at what happened to Vettel in Hungary with the fuel. They didn't. They were under the limit. The limit is there for a reason. If you fail, you fail, and you got to take the consequences. And they did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people kicking off about Red Bull having repaired wings in Parc Fermé conditions so far. But
that's structural integrity.
that's the thing, and this is what
Yeah.
I've been saying, and they've actually applied to the stewards or the FIA for permission to replace a broken part with an identical part.
They so did that on Sunday, though, just to fuck with Mercedes.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, they thought there, like, this is an absolute open goal for us.
Mm-hmm.
Get Hamilton disqualified from qualifying. That's basically Max Verstappen with one hand on the championship.
Oh, yeah, but I mean on Sunday when they replaced Verstappen's rear wing on the grid.
Oh, right, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, there's that clear tape as well, isn't there, that Red Bull are quite fond of. Like, it looks like the old Scotch tape that they stick down. But again, I mean, the FIA are supposed to be informed of any changes, and there's usually an FIA delegate there watching people do things and making sure that any replacements that are done under Parc Fermé conditions are like for like and have to be safety on safety grounds, don't they? I think There's only a couple
you have to prove that whatever is wrong with it would be a safety issue if it was to race, that could be a safety issue to the driver or other drivers, I think.
Yeah. So, and I think if you're following a Red Bull at 190 miles per hour in Sao Paulo and his rear wing comes off and hits you in the face, that's probably not going to be...
It's not ideal.
No, that's a safety problem. So, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't see any similarities between what Red Bull have done several times this season, including this weekend, and what happened to Mercedes. You know, it's a failure, and it doesn't pass scrutineering, which, I mean, for fuck's sake, that's why scrutineering is there.
Yep.
You know, it's got two purposes: to make sure everything's legal and to make sure everything's safe. And as it turns out, there was a part that, through some fault, maybe no fault of the team, maybe a pothole on the track or something, was illegal. So
yeah, they said it wasn't intentional on Mercedes' part. There was no intent. But the tests are tests and limits are limits. And if you push the limit, and then whatever outside force pushes you over the limit, unfortunately, that's a breach of the rules.
Yeah.
Do we know if Mercedes were one of the teams that got hit by the freight getting stuck at Mexico? Because not everyone got through scrutineering before FP1 because
the worst affected teams were McLaren and Ferrari.
Ah, okay.
Oh, I thought Haas were the main ones that struggled because the engines didn't turn up until sort of late Friday morning, or mid Friday morning.
No, nothing important. And
no,
Jesus.
Not for Haas anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Toto's kicking off massively about the whole situation.
Angry Toto kind of got me a little bit back on side with him though, because he showed a little bit of passion. I was just like, this is like an angry football manager. I'm kind of on. Not that I totally agree with everything that's been going on. I don't think there's any conspiracy or that Red Bull. Because we listened to Christian Horner, didn't we, saying that like, oh, we know what Mercedes are doing, and then when what are Mercedes doing? Well, that's a conversation for the engineers to have. So you don't know what they're doing. Then. You just think you know what they're doing. Yeah, it was a very, very silly conversation to be having. I'm not team Red Bull or team Mercedes. I'm really enjoying this championship.
In that case, if I was you, I'd stay off the internet just to be on the safe side.
I know, yeah. I said to one of our listeners this morning, look, it'd be great if Verstappen wins the championship because it's a change for the sport, and also Max Verstappen wins his first championship. That's really cool. But also, it'd be amazing to see Lewis Hamilton go out on 8 championships and be out there by himself, head and shoulders literally above anyone else. So. I don't mind who wins the championship. I'm just really enjoying it. But seeing Angry Toto kind of got me on his side a little bit. I was like, yes, go on, Toto. Give us some passion.
He was immediately before the big sort of fist shaking at camera incident. I think there was a bit where he had like head in hands and just looked very, very stressed by the whole situation. I feel like he had the full roller coaster yesterday.
Well, he had his own press conference after qualifying, didn't he, after the sprint race? I was like, what is this?
I'm sure that wasn't just him shouting and everybody turned up.
Well, if it was, he did it in front of a board that had Mercedes sponsors on it.
I think a few of them have their own sort of press boards in the paddock for reporters to just gather. I know Ferrari do it quite a bit, so it would make sense that Mercedes have one.
Yeah. I don't believe in any conspiracy, though. I don't think Red Bull... I mean, yeah, it's a competition, of course it is, but I don't think that Red Bull are cheating or Mercedes are cheating. I just think it's a real nail-biting finish to a championship. And, I still think Red Bull probably still have a slight upper hand, but after this weekend, who knows?
Yeah.
Who the hell are we to predict? I think... 2 weeks' time guest Virtual Statman put it best for the rest of the season when he said the remaining 3 races are at circuits or configurations that nobody's driven before.
And then got mansplained at by someone who hadn't realised Abu Dhabi had a new configuration.
Oh,
Yeah,
I missed that bit. Fucking hell.
No,
Didn't go
somebody
well
asked him-
for him.
Somebody asked the virtual statman Sean Kelly, "How long have you been watching F1?"
Yes, that was the bit that didn't
yeah,
go
that's
well
the
for the
same
man.
guy, isn't it? Oh.
He could probably tell you down to the minute.
Yeah.
I mean, the funny thing is, if you're following Sean Kelly,
You probably know who he is, don't you? You would think.
yeah, weird. People are weird. Internet's horrible.
3 night races in the Middle East, all on, like Sean said, all on circuit configurations that have never been raced at before.
Mm. Well, if
Wow.
if Mercedes can keep that straight line advantage they've got, Red Bull absolutely have to sort it out in the next 2 races.
Well, Qatar is, well, it doesn't matter because Qatar, I think, is quite high speed, isn't it? Usually, like in terms of straight line speed.
I don't know. I've no idea.
It's
Remembering-
quite it's quite uppy downy. I think Qatar. It's got quite a bit of elevation
It's-
change.
It's a bit like Portimao, is it not? But faster.
I think
If
so.
I remember
That
from
would sound about
MotoGP,
right.
kind of.
Mm.
If I remember from MotoGP, kind of watching way
Yeah,
back in the day.
I think what I'm picturing in my head would be quite like Portimao.
And then you've got Saudi Arabia, which I watched an on board from the F1 2021 game today, which is I think
Because
updated.
real life on boards don't exist yet.
Mm.
Yeah, which
No, they don't.
which they might have to do the actual race on.
No, I'm sure it'll be fine, sort of.
Are you
Just-
really sure?
Just hope there's no high winds at any point that blow all the cardboard away. And yeah, that seems quite high speed, very flowing high speed corners. And then you've got obviously Abu Dhabi on a new configuration, which is going to be much faster. So I really don't know. I really don't know. I haven't got a clue.
This is why we do predictions on every preview show. Well, apart from last week because there wasn't one. But
Championship wise, a listener had asked me who I thought was in the best position to win the championship, and I don't know what you guys think of this, but I first thing I thought, well, obviously Max, because he's got points, he's ahead in the championship. But then I suddenly thought to myself, who, if someone told you the next 3 races were going to be won by one driver, who would you think would have the better chance of winning 3 races back to back? Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton?
Probably Lewis Hamilton.
That's what I thought.
Particularly at new tracks.
Yeah.
What is interesting is if Hamilton, if we get the same result over the next 2 races, Hamilton wins and Verstappen the second, and then one of the other 2, either Bottas or Perez, pits and gets the fastest lap off the other one, they go into Abu Dhabi level on points.
Wow, that'd be amazing.
That could be tense.
Yeah, but you go to Abu Dhabi, which is, I mean, pretty much like in modern Mercedes terms, it's a Lewis Hamilton circuit, isn't it?
Yeah, but Max won there last year.
Did.
Lewis was just coming out of COVID, though.
Yeah. Yes, that's also true. He had to quickly get back in before George Russell got his seat for the rest of the time.
That as well. I have just shared into our 3 Legs 4 Wheels chat a picture alleging to be from today of the actual Saudi circuit rather than the Codemasters Saudi circuit.
I don't think this is true because it looks like it's been raining and the rain doesn't fall in Saudi Arabia.
Apparently,
It's
that's
ille-
new surface.
No, it's illegal.
You reckon it's illegal?
The only water there is Evian.
Yes. All water is owned by the government.
No, apparently, according to the comments, it's shiny because it's like freshly laid and still has that new track sheen.
Yeah, no, fine, fair enough. But it's going to be nice and slippy for everyone then.
Wow, that's a building site,
It is
isn't
a
it?
bit of a. I mean, there is a track. It's just the rest of the shit.
Yeah, but it looks like it looks like when they
Rallycross.
sent-
Yeah.
Yeah, but who?
it looks like
Who
your
was
average
it they sent round
Formula E
India?
circuit.
Yeah, it does. It's got as many fans there. Yeah. Oh, well, that one stretch looks like a circuit. It's really weird. It goes between looking like Abu Dhabi in one picture and then Valencia in the next.
Is that
Singapore in that last one, I would say.
Valencia then or Valencia now? That's the worrying thing.
Valencia now. I'm sure they'll be fine. That's the great thing about Formula One going to countries that don't have great human rights records. They get billed and done really quickly.
Moving swiftly on. Which, to be honest, is what Formula One does every time somebody mentions human rights.
Yeah.
I don't think it's the moving swiftly on. I think it's more the sort of la 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 la, can't hear you, hands over ears, doesn't exist.
Yeah, moving swiftly on to what? Contract negotiation?
Oh, actually, no. Moving swiftly onto something that isn't swift. From
Moving swiftly on, sign here.
Yep, from the back to the front. So moving on to not swift. Haas.
What happened to Mick Schumacher? Well, he had his wing stuck underneath him, and he was asking, "Is it still on the car?" No, Mick. No,
Did he
it's
drive-
not on the car.
Did he drive
The
it? Was
car
it
is on the
Raikkonen?
wing.
Did he drive into the back of Raikkonen? Was that what happened to his wing?
Oh yes. He got a Kimi in the nose.
I don't think he got a Kimi in the nose. I think he just drove into Kimi. And then, it didn't go well. And then came back to the pits a bit too quick. There was no way the pace he was coming back, that wing was gonna
Thing
do
is, he didn't know where
anything
the
other
wing
than
was,
shatter.
did he? Or what angle it was at, or anything. He didn't have a clue.
Ended up bringing out the virtual safety car.
Yeah. But not great for Mick Schumacher. I'm just trying to find the text document that I sent through so I can have a look.
He was He was 18th, and Mazepin was 17th.
Yeah, so Mazepin, great race, finished ahead of Mick Schumacher, who had to pit and brought out a virtual safety car.
Yeah, I mean that's the biggest impact Haas have had on a race for a while.
Yeah, you say that. Wait until they decide who wins the championship in Abu Dhabi.
Oh Christ! Yeah, heading in the complete other direction. Right, Williams, George Russell 13th and Nicholas Latifi 16th.
Russell out qualified in a standard qualifying session.
This is shocking.
Crazy.
For the first time by a Williams teammate.
Good lord.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we've said for a couple of weeks, haven't we? The gap between Lewis and Latifi had been like
Lewis
reasonably.
Lewis and
not
Latifi
Lewis,
has a
fucking
substantial
George. Yeah, it's massive.
20 years ago, the gap between Lewis and Latifi would have been about 2 places on the grid.
But it's. I think Latifi's doing a reasonable job now, isn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Given what he's got.
Yeah.
Slow burner, Nicholas Latifi, but he's doing all right.
Yeah, I wonder if Williams have sort of finally stopped developing the car, and they're actually concentrating on next year's now.
Which would be reasonable, to be fair. to
Yeah,
them.
I mean they've got points. They've got 8th more or less wrapped
Yeah,
up.
they're comfortably ahead of the two teams that they probably thought they'd be fighting for back of the grid. Probably not going to go much further forward unless there's another shenanigansy race. Yeah, I felt a fairly anonymous race for them. I don't really remember seeing much of either of them.
Nobody ran into anyone, did they?
I think did Tsunoda get a little bit close to Latifi at one point, and I think that's pretty much all I remember.
So there wasn't the big Tsunoda moment, though,
No,
was it?
it was the
big
second
moment
time
was-
he tried to wipe out a Canadian.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Tsunoda has single-handedly declared war on Canada.
Do you know what he said in an interview over the weekend? Tsunoda actually described himself as passing through Formula One. There's a man that really thinks he belongs somewhere.
He's in an AlphaTauri. It's not really something you can expect to get earn your pension with.
Yeah, but that would be if you were passing through AlphaTauri, not through F1.
All right, he's on the Red Bull program. It's not something you can expect to get a pension out of.
Yeah. But Williams in the race, Russell appeared to get some kind of pace and finished 13th. It's not amazing, is it?
Now,
And
this time last year, yes, it would have been amazing.
Oh yeah, well, come on, he's had a second already this year. He's out-qualified Lewis Hamilton twice. 3 times, in fact, if you include this weekend with a penalty.
Yeah, what's he had, like 4 or 5 points finishes?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean this just shows that Williams are not the team they were this time last year.
In a good way.
Yeah,
Yes.
not the team that offered K-Mag George Russell's seat if he brought in enough funding. Unfortunately, K-Mag's book is only available in Danish at the minute, so we're not going to be able to go into any more detail unless an English translation comes out or somebody from Denmark wants to do an English translation and send it to us. Anyone got Lars Ulrich's phone number?
If I did, I would have deleted it by now.
That is the correct answer.
Where are we next? Right, Alfa Romeo. That was a fun and interesting packed weekend for them. As fun
Is
and interesting.
Giovinazzi gone?
What's he done to keep himself there?
Not enough, I would say, probably.
Yeah, I'm inclined
but-
to agree.
I would have also accepted silence, but
Yeah. Also, the Chinese Alfa Romeo dealer welcoming Guang Yu Zhou to the team probably didn't help.
yeah, I think all the signs are there that Formula One will be man bunless next season.
Which is a shame because Brazil clearly loves Antonio Giovinazzi.
There's time before Brazil next year for someone to grow a man bun.
My guess is Yuki Tsunoda.
My guess is not Vettel. Although that would look
could-
hilarious.
It would do, yeah. It'd look amazing.
I mean, Giovinazzi just kind of served to trip over people quite a bit, or be there to be tripped over. And Kimi, I don't know, is he phoning it in? Are we actually going to see him for the last 3 races of the season? Do you reckon?
Yeah,
for all
he
3?
looks like a guy that needs to retire. That's the thing.
You know,
I remember the end of like Damon Hill and stuff like that. And it's always horrible to watch when a driver hangs out for that extra season. And yeah,
I hate to say it, but it's been like watching
not
Rossi,
good.
like watching Valentino Rossi in MotoGP this year.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, this year has been Rossi's farewell tour, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. But,
the only thing I would say about Rossi is I feel it's slightly different because he was never the same rider after he broke his leg.
Which time? Because
The last time when he was on Ducati, I don't think he was the same rider since then.
I think Ducati just broke him generally all round because.
Probs, yeah.
Going back to Kimi, though, who, of course, when he was with Ferrari, they used to have the tie-up with Ducati at the time. Yeah, Kimi's...
Reverse segue.
Yeah. Yeah, but try doing that on a Segway. It's not fucking easy. You got to hang on and lean backwards. Yeah, he's not the kind of driver to have or the kind of person to have a farewell tour, is he?
Well, the kind of farewell tour I can imagine Kimi having, you ain't going to do it in the Middle East.
No.
did anybody
Oh.
see the press conference?
No.
Kimi Raikkonen was in the press conference with Mick Schumacher, and somebody asked Mick Schumacher, "Have you enjoyed racing against Kimi?" And he didn't answer for like 3 or 4 seconds, and Kimi just went, "Good answer."
Now that's the Kimi we'll miss.
That's ace.
Not the pootling round at the back, squabbling for 13th place.
Mm. It'd be interesting to see how he would have been if. I mean, obviously, I don't think he probably didn't really deserve a better car, but if the Alfa Romeo had been a better car, it would have been interesting to see where he would have ended up. Because given the fact that Kimi only really likes getting in cars and driving, it's what he's all about. We know he doesn't enjoy the politics and everything else that comes with Formula One. I can't think that if it was up to Kimi, I think he would probably like to do another year to see what the new cars are like next year. And I think if he'd have had a slightly better car, I wonder whether he could have got the results to keep him in Formula One for that extra year.
Yeah, maybe.
Possibly. I mean, the state of the team as well, with the uncertainty over whether Andretti were buying it or not, can't have helped.
You also got to wonder how early Alfa Romeo I'm talking about here, how quickly they stopped developing this car. We know Haas just didn't develop the car. The car that they've got now is the car that they left, round one with in Bahrain. Williams did a few upgrades. We don't know anything really about Alfa Romeo, how far they went. Did they just stop at some point and go, fuck it, wait till next year?
I feel they'd be on a similar path to Haas. Not quite as extreme, but
yeah, I reckon once
it was obvious.
I reckon once Williams started picking up points fairly regularly, they'll have probably thought, all right, feck this then.
Yeah, we're not going to beat them now. Let's work on beating them next year.
Well, I mean, I suppose the thing would have been Belgium if there was any updates given to them after Belgium. Then there was clearly, after Williams had such a good showing, that was the time to probably stop anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Belgium really showed Williams' race pace.
Yeah.
Aston Martin, Seb in 11th and Stroll DNF'd. Was that aero damage in the end, or was it something else?
I think
it was damage to the floor, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because bits of Stroll's car were still falling out of Tsunoda's car 10 minutes later.
It was the other way round.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was Tsunoda who lost his front wing into the side of Stroll.
Oh, because I thought there was bits of Tsunoda's car stuck in Stroll's car where Tsunoda put them.
Possible. Whose parts ended up exactly where?
Yeah, I mean, this wasn't trading paint. This was trading carbon fibre.
Yeah, no, he did actually leave an AlphaTauri piece of branded carbon fibre on the Aston Martin
there was
about
a bit
5
where,
laps.
yeah, where Stroll was like shedding bits, and you could see that they were navy bits, not green bits.
But I mean that sort of compromised Stroll's race, but he wasn't in the best position to begin with because of sort of lousy time in qualifying and the sprint.
Yeah, he was out in Q1, which he was very angry about, and also I know the accident was Tsunoda's fault, but at the same time, that's old Lance Stroll not checking his mirrors again.
And if he'd qualified better, he wouldn't have been there.
I don't think Lance had anything to do with that.
He didn't have to. If he checked his mirrors, he'd known there was a car on his inside. I mean, yeah, Tsunoda probably shouldn't have put himself there, and it's totally on Tsunoda to because that gap is always going to shrink, and you're not getting through. But yeah, Stroll could have avoided it as well.
I'm not sure. I feel that Stroll was committed to going into the corner. He had every right to take the racing line. There was no way Tsunoda was making that overtake.
No, absolutely. No, I'm not saying that it was Stroll's fault, but I mean he could have avoided it.
I mean the fact that the fact that there were bits of AlphaTauri in the AlphaTauri front wing in the Aston Martin barge boards shows that Stroll definitely had the line going into that corner and had the track position.
Yeah, he was definitely well ahead.
Yeah. Front wings.
I will die on this hill. Stroll doesn't check his mirrors.
Oh, fine. I'm 100% with you on the fact that Stroll doesn't check his mirrors, but that was still Tsunoda's cock-up.
Yeah, no, it was. Absolutely.
He doesn't need to check his mirrors. He has somebody to do that for him.
Take my mirrors off. This will make me aero fast.
And then Vettel in 11th. A bit of a non-day for Seb.
Little bit, yeah. Aston Martin seem to have stalled a little bit, don't they, on their charge? Early days, it looked like they were. Obviously, they struggled like Mercedes did early on with the aero trim down, and then as the season went on, it looked like they were getting stronger, and now they're just not. So.
I think there's been an obvious cut-off in development for them as well, hasn't there?
I
It
would
looks
say
like
so.
it. Does look like it, yeah.
Because they're still essentially on an evolution of 2 Mercedes ago, are they not?
Yeah, this is still the 2019 Mercedes with a few more tweaks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did very much
Yeah.
enjoy Vettel threatening to touch somebody. Was it Lewis's front wing at the end?
Yeah,
That was very
Yeah,
enjoyable.
because that'd only be €25,000 for a front wing.
Yeah, that was
I don't
funny.
know. I don't know where he gets this tariff from. Can we find a full list of like price tags for how much you get fined if you touch?
I think he said maybe, didn't he? He said.
What is
I'm
it?
gonna
10,
touch
10
Hamilton's-
grand if you touch the halo.
Yeah. I'm going to touch Hamilton's rear wing. I said, don't you dare. It's very expensive. He said, I'm only joking. I'm going to touch his front wing instead. Maybe that's only 25k.
I like Happy Seb.
I like Happy Seb. It's been a long time, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this is what I was going to say as far as the developments thing for Aston Martin go is because they all seem reasonably happy in there. When you see Seb in interviews, he's pretty happy. Lance Stroll seems pretty happy. So there's clearly something in the background there where somebody's come to some sort of conclusion that at least gives them hope for the future. So I still believe that they are the sleeper team for next year, to properly pull a surprise.
Yeah, they seem just quietly confident in themselves at the minute, don't they?
Yeah. In terms of teams that are quietly confident, I am a little worried that Ferrari appear to be quite relaxed in the fact that they've finished their car for next year. They don't need to do anything else anymore.
This is Ferrari
still ready to
confidence.
hand in.
Ferrari confidence is different to any other organisation's quiet confidence, though, isn't it? It's quite loud,
Yeah.
and 2, that it's misplaced confidence because it's Ferrari.
Right. Ferrari have finished. Ferrari have finished their car for next year, according to them. They are now rewriting the rules that they're going to give to the FIA to make sure that everything that they've finished is going to be legal.
Yeah, well, the thing is, if it's loud confidence, you know that Ferrari are going to be shit. If it's quiet confidence, Ferrari usually get it right.
And we've not heard quiet Ferrari confidence for how long?
A long time.
I was just going to say, I know we've sort of drifted offline a little bit, but while we're on the subject of Aston Martin, what the hell's going on with Otmar? It's been officially denied that he's going to Alpine.
Which is always a good
Yeah,
sign.
not quite as officially denied as the other story, which we'll talk about in a bit. But
Yes.
it's Otmar himself denied. It wasn't like a statement put out by Aston Martin. It was Otmar himself saying, "No, look, it's just false. It's not." He didn't say that it was conjecture or anything like that. I think he said it was speculative but false, which is quite damning almost.
Yeah, the major auto press this week, they're not having a good one for stories that aren't getting shot down within hours. As we'll discuss shortly. But yeah, of course, Alpine don't have a team principal as such, and haven't had all season.
What's his name? Not Jerome D'Ambrosio.
Davide, what's his face?
That's it,
Begins with a
Davide.
B.
Yeah, it does. The guy
from the
MotoGP.
I was going to say
Yeah.
Davide back to MotoGP being his full name.
Oh, is he
apparently.
back to MotoGP?
Apparently, this is why they're looking to poach somebody
Davide
else.
Brivio?
I think it's Brivio. I think it ends in an O.
We could just Google this to
Well,
be
you
fair,
could.
rather than making a tit of ourselves.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. Being a tit has its benefits occasionally.
Davide Brivio.
But yeah, the rumor was that Otmar Schaffnauer, I always struggle with that for some reason, was moving to Alpine.
I always want to say Schnarf, like the cat from Thundercats.
He does look like Schnarf grew up.
But yeah, taking over the role to be Alpine's, well, to be the Enstone team's first team principal since they fired Cyril. That's a worrying thought, isn't it?
Where is Cyril? Did he just leave Formula One altogether?
Did he get promoted into some kind of quiet back office job where he can't touch anything?
Let's have a look. He is just not in Renault, not in the group. He has joined. Oh, sorry, he's in the group. He's motorsport advisor for Mechachrome.
I like
Mechachrome.
I like you
no.
saying. I like you saying he's still in the group. It's like Cyril has left the chat.
Yeah, apparently, and Mechachrome is still a thing.
Supplying engines to who?
F2, I think.
Yeah, they do some feeder series.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure who they supply. I'm going to have to look this up, aren't I?
I think they do a few feeder series. I think they might do some of like the regional F3s and that sort of ilk.
F2, F3, and they do a lot of work with Ginetta as well.
Yes. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. Okay. Ginetta needs someone to provide engines for them, I suppose.
Yeah, they have a tendency not to make their own. So yes, they are still a thing. So yeah, that's where Cyril's gone, and
Otmar could be replacing Davide Brivio at Alpine from next year, although it's been officially confirmed as false by Otmar himself. So expect an announcement tomorrow.
yeah, we need a Tuesday news story, and of course, Aston have recently signed Martin Whitmarsh, who has team principal experience.
Has this been officially confirmed now?
What, that Martin Whitmarsh is there?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes,
Martin Whitmarsh
bit's
is at
official.
Aston Martin. Yeah, he's
Cool.
definitely at Aston Martin, but not at. He's factory based, isn't he? He's not racetrack based, I don't think.
He's not even with the F1 team. He's Aston Martin Performance Technologies.
Oh, so like the WEC kind of
Yeah,
aspect.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
He's going to be running GT cars apparently.
I'll
For
be
now.
surprised if he doesn't find his way to Formula One.
Yeah,
I'll be
it's-
surprised.
It's getting the right person in, isn't it, for when you
Yeah.
need them. At what
And
point
I'll
they-
be surprised if the Schnafnauer rumours aren't true as well.
Yeah, it might just be that he doesn't know yet.
Or like contracts. Maybe Aston Martin don't want to announce a new team principal halfway through a year or something like that. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It would make sense if they're not firing somebody and they want somebody to sort of stay there till the end of the year for him to say no, he's not leaving, and then because don't forget this time last year Cyril wasn't leaving.
Very true.
Where are we next?
I think the thing is as well. I think if he is going, I don't think he's being fired. I think he's leaving.
Yeah, I think so too.
He's been in that team so long, and realistically, it's a promotion because he's going to a works outfit.
Well, Aston
Essentially.
Martin's kind of a works outfit, but
Kind of a works outfit.
still a customer team. I see
Yeah.
what you mean. Yeah, he's going to a manufacturer works outfit.
Well, let's face it. I mean, obviously they'll hopefully do better because it's a better team underneath. But all they've really done is what Lotus did. No, they bought the Lotus name
Yeah. Using
and
someone else's
slapped it on
engine.
the car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I do like having it on the grid. I would prefer. What's that fucking word? I would prefer having Aston Martin on the grid than I would have Racing Point or fucking Force India.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a bit more sort of prestige to it, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Aston Martin. I was unsure about what they would do with the livery, but I really like the livery. So
Yeah, I do.
I'm happy to see British Racing Green back on the grid. You know, I don't think you know the Caterhams. All right, the cars were dogs, but they had British Racing Green on there, which we'd not seen since Jaguar.
yeah, it's technically speaking, not British Racing Green, but it's a good attempt.
Yeah.
What, the Jaguar?
No, the Aston Martin. It's a bit too shiny to be British Racing Green.
I was going to say
Jag definitely wasn't. Was it?
no, because the British Racing Green paint was too heavy.
Yeah.
That was
I'm
when
sure pay.
I was going to say that was when
Well,
I
I
first
was
got into the technical side of F1. Was like, they weigh the paint.
Yeah, I'm sure paint technology's come on enough now that they can probably knock a British Racing Green out the right weight.
If only we knew someone involved in the paint industry who'd know if paint technology's improved in the last 20 odd years.
I've got fucking better things to do with my life than to fucking learn about how paint is made.
Shall we talk about AlphaTauri instead?
Why not?
But they're
Yes,
not next,
let's.
are they?
No, they're not actually. They aren't.
No, let's not.
We completely skipped McLaren. 10th place for Lando after an upsy downsy kind of
Yeah,
weekend.
recovery after initial not so good.
It was weird, I thought, because I thought it was totally Lando's fault hitting Carlos Sainz because he chose to go the sort of
Onto the
really
grass.
narrow route.
Yeah.
Yeah, he chose to take the narrow route, but then Sainz on the radio kind of made it sound like it was his fault. Like, I know where to go. Like, you did. The corner was left, and Lando was on your right.
Was he
So-
just a bit?
after the race?
Was he just
Yeah.
a bit sad because it was his friend?
Possibly, but it just, to me, I'd have just been like, I mean, I'm no offense, but I mean, if Lee cuts across me in a karting race and then cuts his tire, I'd be like, ah, fuck you.
Thanks.
I'm
yeah,
sure you do the same to me.
I'd have stopped the car to make sure you're all right.
We
All right,
we,
Seb.
we will try and arrange for this kind of thing to happen next summer.
Yes, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it was a daft move.
I don't think it was daft. It just because he just moved in a little. I think it was Lando's fault as well.
Yeah, Sainz got a bad start.
Yeah, and I think he just turned in a little bit too early. I think if he'd have a second later before and not turning in, it would have been a really good move. That saw him go past at least one Ferrari, possibly putting him in position to get the next Ferrari on the entry to turn 2.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, what happened, and I think his recovery drive. If you look at the cars that he passed on his way from the end of lap 1, nearly being a lap down, to finishing 10th, they were the cars he was going to pass. I don't think he would have got much further up than that anyway.
No, I think I think he'd have been. I think he probably would have finished ahead of the Ferraris as well because they didn't
May
have
have done.
I don't think they had quite the pace. I say that as in I don't think one of the Ferraris could have done what Lando did. If the same thing had happened.
Oh, Chris, if you've stopped following the text commentary, it's now 9-0.
Oh, it was 7 last time I looked.
It is a 10-man San Marino. Mr. Rossi has been sent off.
Oh no, Valentino, what have you done?
As it turns out, it was Francis.
Francis Rossi. He does not like that.
And then Danny Rick with a DNF. He was looking strong, but what the hell happened to the car? I missed it completely.
Engine power unit just ceased. And he kind of just
Engine
limped,
failure.
Yeah, limped home,
Oh, grid penalties next week then.
and still a dodgy Mercedes engine situation.
Yeah, but that means if he does replace the engine, he'll get the new stonkingly great spec powerful one.
Oh, he could be a ringer for the last 3 races.
Yeah.
That could be quite fun.
Yeah. I will leave it until we get to further up the grid, but there was another Mercedes runner that I think might have engine troubles going into the next couple of races.
Who's that?
I will leave it until we get to them.
Yes, you mentioned it in the
right,
chat
yeah, I think I know
yesterday.
you're gonna
Yes,
talk.
yes, we know
Yeah.
who it is.
Oh yes. Right now.
You know, when you look at all the other teams we've got to talk about and how many of them are Mercedes powered.
There can be only 2.
Yes. I wish Highlander had stuck with that.
I wish Highlander was stuck with the first one, and that was it, actually. There can be only one film, and we'll never do a sequel. It should have been written into the fucking contract.
I liked the TV series. I don't care what anyone says.
Nobody's saying
I
anything.
No.
It's good. It's good.
Right, now we'll talk about AlphaTauri. Sonoda, yeah.
Were they the most binary team, pretty much?
Taking DNFs out of the equation, yes.
Yeah. Tsunoda was rubbish. Gasly was once again brilliant.
Mm.
You don't get much more binary than that.
No.
Yeah, Sonoda is just... I'm going to go for an enigma. It can be blisteringly quick or worryingly stupid.
Yeah.
He's had one good race all year.
I mean, he's had a few good...
His first race.
He's had a few good qualifying sessions where he didn't put it in the wall.
He's been better since Alex Albon has become his dad.
Yeah, he's been better, but I don't know at the risk of generalizing people. There does seem to be a theme that comes along with Japanese drivers in Formula One, where they show signs of speed and then just sort of drift off somewhere. I don't know quite what it is.
Yeah, but you can also say that about anybody on the Red Bull Junior program.
Well, I mean, they're clearly murdered, but the yeah,
they're flavour of the month, and then they run out.
In the same way as Finnish drivers seem to have like a set formula they come to Formula One in, as well as being like quite quiet but fucking mega fast when you want them to be. Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Except JJ
thought
later.
Maybe that he just didn't get the right car. But
What, the Benetton alongside Michael Schumacher in 94?
no, it was the wrong car. It wasn't Michael Schumacher's fault. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I have absolutely no hope for Yuki Tsunoda. I think he's had a terrible year in AlphaTauri. I don't think he deserves to have another year in Formula One, and he seems to have one.
Well, he's got a contract for next year. That was going to be the next question. Do we think he'll see it out? Is Helmut going to go all Helmut again?
Depends on Liam Lawson, doesn't it?
And Yuri Vips as well, if he's still floating around in F2.
Mm.
He's starting to outstay his welcome, though, isn't he? As a Red Bull junior, he's been junior for too long now.
Yeah, he got shafted by COVID because after he was very good in F3, rather than going into F2, he was going to do Japanese Super Formula and then got stuck because of quarantine and border restrictions and whatnot. So he ended up in European Formula Regional Championship, which is just the most ridiculous name for a thing ever. And it only ended up back in F2 because I think someone lost their sponsorship. So he had a bit of a merry-go-round.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, you're saying he's been there a while. I think he's only about sort of 20. It's just that he's been with them since he was, I think,
13.
I think it was 12 or 13 when he joined.
Yeah, Yuri Vips is a name that's been around for a while, and generally names don't stick around a while in Red Bull AlphaTauri unless you are going into Formula One.
Yeah. The other thing we've got to take into account is how much Honda are still involved helping Red Bull out during the changeover, and how much keeping Honda happy might be advantageous for them at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that Tsunoda is in the seat because of what's in the back of the car.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's why he's got another season next year.
Yeah.
Because like I say, I think there's a... Yeah, because I don't get me wrong, I know Mazepin's had a terrible year. I think Mick Schumacher has had a fairly terrible year as well.
But they're only there because of what's on the car. Your Alcaleon,
Well,
Alcaleon 1 and 1.
But the only thing is as well, there's a very good possibility that they're only where they are because of what the car is. That car is fucking awful, and I don't think it's good enough to judge anybody by. Whereas Tsunoda's got a really good car. He's got a car on its day which is the match for a Ferrari or a McLaren. Doesn't do it quite as consistently over the course of the year, but he has definitely been in a car which was capable of proper high-end points, and more often than not, he's blown it.
Yeah, because, Gasly finished ahead of both Alpines.
Yeah.
Tried his hardest not to with Ocon, though.
Last year.
Yeah, Gasly won a race last year, yeah.
Yeah.
It's... So, yeah, I don't know.
Gasly was on the podium in Brazil
just
last time.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, just a bit of a... It just seems a waste. I think that's the big thing. Like, I don't really care about Mazepin or Schumacher whether they deserve to be in Formula One at the moment, because it doesn't really matter. But it seems like a waste of a seat in AlphaTauri.
When when one half of the team is responsible for well more than half the points,
yeah,
then there's got to be some questions asked.
Even when you've got Albon, you've got Albon that sat off. Yeah, when you got Albon, which they stuck in Red Bull to his demise. I'd have rather see Albon in AlphaTauri this year. It's just good for him that he's managed to get himself in a Williams next year, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, things could have been different. We could have been looking forward to Tsunoda starting in the Williams alongside Latifi next year and been all excited about it.
Wow, that's a thought.
Yeah, that's a replacement for George Russell. He is not.
For starters, the height difference.
Yes.
I could not get two drivers more.
He's about 3/4 of a George.
Although, while we're on AlphaTauri, there was a amusing moment when Sky were doing their post-race interviews, and they immediately had on the same fixed standy-uppy mic stand Toto Wolff, followed by Pierre Gasly, who is not much taller than Yuki Tsunoda.
Oh, God.
That was some adjustments that had to be made, because, Toto and Gasly are not the same height.
No. Isn't the tallest driver at the moment is Esteban Ocon?
I think
6'2"?
Yes. That rings a
6'2".
bell.
Yeah, because it was Hulk, wasn't it? Because
6'4", I believe Hulk is. He's the same height as I am.
What a crazy height for a fucking driver. You're 6'4", are you?
Yeah.
Mental.
Yeah, so I'd be the same height. So it was when I saw that thing on Twitter a while ago. It was like, how many drivers are you taller than? I was like, all of them?
I must be slightly taller than I thought then, because I thought I was 6'1". I don't think you're a clear 3 inches taller than me.
No, I've always thought you were pretty tall.
According to first article I found by Googling, Ocon, Russell, Latifi and Giovinazzi are all 6'1".
Oh, okay. So yeah, then they're all the tallest driver.
Although they do list
have so many tall drivers.
They list Ocon as 186, whereas the other three are 185. So he must be a slightly taller 6'1".
Mm.
So there
I have I still have the text the texting on, and it's now 10.
Blimey. So R.I.P. San Marino football. Bloody hell. So yeah, Gasly. I've said this before, but just the getting on with it and doing it, because there was no particular dramas.
Yeah, I don't remember much of his race as such, aside from
I think
a bit of a...
Gasly might be the strongest driver of the year.
Yeah, he had a little bit of a sort of, not even that close really, just a hard-fought couple of corners with Ocon.
Mm.
But
made light work of him in the end.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but he finished ahead of both Alpines. He
Yeah.
finished behind both Ferraris, which is fine because, let's be honest, he finished behind both Ferraris, both Mercedes, both Red Bulls. Oh no, what a shit race Pierre Gasly just had. You know?
Congratulations on winning the Formula 1.5 trophy for this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Norris may have finished ahead of him had he not had that first lap puncture, but I mean, we just don't know. I mean, you got to, stay out of trouble in order to get the results, and Gasly did exactly that yet again. Just stayed out of trouble, and I don't know how another team hasn't come along for him and gone, this guy, we want him. Here's lots of money. Leave Red Bull.
The problem is, what team would do it and what team would be in advance for him?
I don't know about an advance, but just anything outside of the Red Bull program where he's clearly not going to get another chance in that Red Bull team now, unless they bin Perez off us for some unknown reason.
I still think he is number one for Alonso's seat when he retires.
Yeah, I think Alpine would be a good shout. I think if things turn nasty at Ferrari, and they don't actually show any sign of turning nasty at Ferrari, but I think Gasly's the best shout for that seat. I don't think
it's Ferrari that could change within the hour.
If Hamilton retires at Mercedes, it wouldn't be remiss of them to overlook Gasly. You know what I mean? Like they would have to look at him as a potential replacement because otherwise it's Esteban Ocon
or Stoffel.
You've also got.
Yeah, no, not Stoffel.
Yeah, I think you've also got the new rules to think of as well. I always think that when you have big changes, and realistically, I don't think we've seen much bigger changes than what's going on next year.
No, it's the biggest change since forever.
Yeah. So, but what that does, like when I always talk about Formula One coming to different drivers, it gives somebody the opportunity to become undeniable. To just like, well, this is where I am. Now you come to me and talk to me about where you want me to go. So, for someone like Gasly, who's sort of rebuilt himself, if he happens to end up being in Formula One when Formula One comes towards him, he's one of the guys where I think you could see having a much better future than we possibly imagined for him.
Yeah.
Well, 3 years ago, there wasn't a future for him.
No. So I think the same about Alex Albon as well. Like I do think when you look at how everybody else that's gone into that Red Bull has struggled, and it's not even just the fact of Perez, for instance, coming to terms with the car. Red Bull have actually changed the car to help Perez come to terms with it. Red Bull have realised they've been making some fucking massive mistakes with their number 2 drivers. So I think when you look back at his first year, when he was in, Toro Rosso would have been then, wasn't he? And Albon looked every bit as good as like a Charles Leclerc or something like that, or Carlos Sainz. So I see no reason why come next year in a half competitive Williams, why he couldn't be one of the guys that starts like hunting down one of the biggest seats.
Yeah,
I
quite
think,
likely.
Yeah, the potential's definitely there for him to do it. That'd be. It would be interesting to see. Sorry, Chris. You sounded like you were about to start saying something.
No, I was gonna go off on a tangent, but I can leave it. It's fine.
Tangent away.
Tangent away.
That's what we're here for.
Oh, okay.
It's what we do.
I'm keeping one eye on the England San Marino match, and it's 10-0 to England, and it says 5 minutes remaining. A long way back for San Marino.
That's harsh.
Just a bit. Incidentally, though, Scotland are beating Denmark.
Oh, fair dues.
Oh, wow.
That's reasonable.
And Switzerland are possibly knocking Italy. Well, not knocking Italy out, but giving Italy a headache at the moment.
Missing a decent night's worth of football. We better carry on talking.
Talking about Formula One.
Yeah, better carry on talking and making this worthwhile. Right. We're only.
Incidentally, Bet365 currently offering odds of 301 to 1 on San Marino winning the England game.
That's too short.
It does feel a bit, bit like a waste of £1 there.
That is Sonoda short. Alpine then. Ocon in 8th, Alonso in 9th. First thing you said about Alonso, Sean, during the race was, oh, good, he's carrying on the battle with trying to kill an Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, he was scrappy early on with them, wasn't he? I mean, he left them behind, obviously, but Albozy Alonso has been out the last couple of races.
Yeah. I thought they were well solid, the Alpines. I don't know if anybody else spotted it, but they did a really, really quick pit stop as well. I think it was like 2.2 on the pit stops. So, fair play to them. They have to be the most improved team, are they, would you say, this year? Since the beginning of the season, up to where they are now?
Them or Williams, definitely.
Yeah, Williams has been on it. It's been, let's be honest, it's been mainly George Russell, and it's been promising from the beginning, hasn't it? But Alpine look like they might be fighting at the back, and it's just like, what is with that fat airbox? And then all of a sudden, they're actually, they've got a race win. They're producing some pretty decent results. Are they going to poach Otmar from Aston Martin? Maybe. They're ambitious because they don't think that this charge towards the front of the grid has gone quick enough for them. They want to speed it up, so that's why the poaching story came about. Fair play to them; they are working hard, and it's kind of working a little bit for them.
Yeah, it's the usual thing with the Enstone team, though, isn't it? It goes in waves, and at the moment they're on and up. And unfortunately, when the Enstone team run down, it's usually because Renault's decided to, oh no, we're leaving Formula One, we're not getting enough out of it.
Can they just call themselves Benetton again and just see what happens?
just do it in strict rotation.
Yeah.
Just do absolutely nothing new to the car, repaint it and rebrand it Benetton. Like, don't understand. It's like a second and a half quicker.
Again, we're back to paint weights. Yeah, I mean, Ocon is definitely much improved from the start of this season because he looked like he was a bit rattled by Alonso.
Did he not win like the second or third race of the season?
Ocon won in Hungary.
Was it Hungary? Was it that late? I could have sworn it was earlier.
Yeah.
Wow.
After Bottas the bowling ball. Hamilton took the start all by himself, and then when they all got out of the pit lane, Ocon kept Vettel behind him the whole time.
Yes. No, in my head it was a few races earlier, but there we go.
That was the end of.
It's been a long season.
That was the end of July, but they had a bloody solid one this weekend. More than we can say.
I was fine.
I was fine by late Sunday. But yeah, it was a good solid performance, and can't wait to see what they've got in store for next year. Because again, with an unchanged lineup, are they?
Going back to what Lee said, it's the whole changing of the formula thing, isn't it? It's going to be whoever gets it the rightest. Lots of teams can get it right. But who finds that little extra bit that pushes them way out in front of everyone else? It could well be Alpine. We don't know. It's a total reset, more than any other total reset we've ever had before. So it is impossible to tell. But I mean, the Enstone team are not incapable of doing it.
No, I mean we've seen them go from zero to hero several times.
And back again.
And then shoot themselves in the foot. It could be
almost definitely, yeah.
Yeah, as long as they've hidden the ammunition this time, then I think the rest of the season should play out for them pretty well as well. Because that car is quick, and if speed's going to matter at these next three tracks, then I think there's the potential for good performances, and we could see them certainly putting Aston Martin in the place and fighting with AlphaTauri, McLaren, and Ferrari as well.
Unless Ferrari are all the way out front because they finished their car first.
Yeah, well,
but they may have finished their car first, but
To finish first you must be Ferrari.
You're assuming they've done a good job.
I'm not assuming anything.
It's Ferrari.
I'm just-
dead.
I'm just relaying what Ferrari is saying.
In that case, shoot the messenger on their 5th and 6th places.
No, that's a positive result, do you not think, for Ferrari?
I think it is. They were never going to they were never going to challenge the top 4 without something bizarre happening, like, I don't know, one of the top 4 having to drop down to 20th because they got disqualified from qualify. And then maybe making things up in the sprint, but having to start 10th and then
Yeah.
So yeah, that is a good result for Ferrari. That may well be where both cars should have finished, because they had the 3rd fastest car this week. That is a loud.
She is purring quite loudly near to a microphone.
They've all but nailed their 3rd in the championship, really, haven't they? Now.
Yeah, we've got some fast circuits coming up, which is where McLaren would have the upper hand over the last part of the season. But I mean, it appears like Ferrari have just closed that gap, haven't they? Since the season's been going on and on, and it doesn't matter what circuits you go to, Ferrari have just gone sort of squeaked ahead, and now they're eking it out, just piece by piece.
Well, I mean, I think it's more and more evident just what Danny Rick's early season slump has cost McLaren, isn't it? I know I said a few times, didn't I, through the season that he was hemorrhaging them points. It's Ferrari going to win that. Are going to win that. They've had pretty equal cars all year, but somewhere along the lines, McLaren had a fucking 1-2.
Yeah. It's
still the only team with one.
Correct.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
With 3 races to go, and they're the only team with a 1-2. But Sainz has taken to that Ferrari much better than Ricciardo's taken to that McLaren.
Definitely.
And I think that is what long term, going back to what Lee was saying then, that's what's gonna probably win them 3rd place.
Mm.
Yeah, having 2 drivers that know how the car works intimately is it's a massive advantage. I'm stating the obvious here.
Yeah.
But I mean, going on this weekend's performances, Ferrari, you don't expect them to just be there at the start and be there at the end. There's always some element of Ferrari in it. There was no drama. They didn't get the strategies wrong. They, didn't cheat. There was nothing especially Ferrari about this weekend, and yet here they are. With
It does
a 5th
feel
and 6th
more
place
stable.
finish.
Yeah, it does feel more stable.
Yeah.
I think that might be something that's been brought along with the driver lineup.
Yeah, they're not a dramatic driver pairing.
No.
No, and I thought they would be tripping over themselves. I mean, they are close in the championship, but they seem to be getting on okay with the fact that they are so close.
The team haven't had to separate them and put them on mixed strategies, so they're not on the same piece of track until the end of the race.
Was it last week they were on the same bit of track? I think one had fresher tyres. They swapped. Didn't happen. They swapped back.
Yeah,
and there didn't seem to be any drama about it.
They were getting a bit racy with each other on lap 1, but that's what happens.
Yeah, teammates should be allowed to race, but yeah, I always thought that this Sainz Leclerc pairing, I thought there's no way that Ferrari are going to number 2 Charles Leclerc, and Sainz isn't going to be the kind of driver who wants to be a number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So I always thought it was going to end in tears, but it isn't. And I wonder how much of that is down to Mattia Binotto and his, let's be honest here, incredibly quiet style of management.
I can't remember the last time I saw him.
When was the last time you had a drama at Ferrari which wasn't which wasn't related to the engines in 2019?
But yeah, you just don't
Ferrari
seem to see him sort of posturing about the place like you do a Toto or a Christian Horner or a Andreas Seidel. You just don't see him very often.
But they're kind of not in it, are they?
Well, they're as in it
they're
as
not in
McLaren
the-
are, and we see Seidel all the time.
I suppose so, but but as far as driver management goes as well, I think when you've got two drivers which seem so closely matched as Sainz and Charles Leclerc are, I think if you've got a slightly better, more competitive car, they're going to have issues with each other sooner or later.
Excuse me.
Maybe we'll see that next year with this already completed 2022 car.
Mabes.
Especially if it's a flyer.
I still can't believe they've actually said, "Oh, they're done for next year now."
If it's good, how long do you give it before someone protests it and it's illegal and they're back in midfield?
Less time than it took you to say that sentence.
I suppose when you think about it, I wonder how they go about making these cars, because they've no real world data about what they're gonna be like on the track. So they're building cars using like loads of sim work as well.
Wind
So
tunnels.
maybe there is a point when you've got no previous data to go off that's really relevant, that you hit a development wall and it's like, well, look, guys, we've got all these ideas, but we don't really know what's going to work until we get one of these fuckers on the track.
That could be the case. It's interesting that the first 3 days of testing in Barcelona aren't going to get shown on TV next year. Is that because the cars that are going to be running will bear little resemblance to the cars that are running at the next test, which is the week before the Bahrain Grand Prix?
Money saving, isn't it, or something? Is that what they said? It's to do with saving money on broadcasting rights.
Didn't see that. I just the article that I read said that they want to do a big push to get everyone watching testing at Bahrain because it's going to be better.
Okay, you can't know that.
Well, that's why I'm thinking is it going to be a case of everyone's going to test the new cars that, all right, yeah, they're built by then. Although apparently Williams won't be turning up to the Barcelona test. We've heard this one before, haven't we?
Yes.
And we all know how that one went.
Thing is, you can't not turn up at the test for 2022 with a 2022 car. You have to have that car ready to go because any other car is not legal.
That's the thing. So from that, we can take that Williams are cutting it very fine to the last minute. I know we've used the excuse before; it never harmed Brawn. But,
Yeah, that was a.
But they said 2009 anymore.
No, and that was a bit of a fluke.
So yeah, I just wonder if there's going to be sort of wholesale changes to all the cars between Barcelona and Bahrain tests.
It depends how far.
And that's why
each team goes.
Yeah, you know, they finish the car now for the Barcelona spec. But the only way that they can do any more development on is actually find out how it runs on a real road and then go back and change everything.
Yeah.
Don't know, purely conjecture, but it's good to start a new conspiracy. Right, top two teams, because I think everything fits together here.
It does. Before we do top two teams, are we gonna talk about McLaren Audi afterwards, or just do it now because we didn't talk about it when McLaren were a thing?
Well, there's nothing to talk about because it's been officially denied that Audi have bought McLaren today.
And I think it has actually been officially denied, not like F1 officially denied. That was like,
No,
yeah,
McLaren
I
was
think this is a proper
seeking
denial.
to have, seeking to have the story removed.
Uh-huh.
That is not that
It's
is
like
that
one
is
stage short of our lawyers are talking to your lawyers.
basically, yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know who got wind of that, but it sounds like somebody got wind that somebody in Audi went to McLaren and, oh, fuck, no, Audi are not buying McLaren.
I can't remember what the thing is, I can't remember what the wording was.
And I'll see if I can find it because I still should have.
I mean, it's like the story's wholly inaccurate, I think it was. But it was, to me, reading it, it felt like a non-denial denial, if you know what I mean. You know, it's not like saying no, there's absolutely no chance we're getting sold, blah blah blah. I read it odd. I don't know why. There was something in it that it felt a bit like word salad reading it, and I didn't.
I don't think
did-
they minced their words. I think they were quite, this is not happening.
It didn't. Well, see, I read it thinking that's. I mean, does this suggest that maybe somebody had got information that wasn't right, and they haven't been sold to Audi, but they're in talks with investment or potential buyout?
They were being
I
linked
would
to
have thought it
BMW earlier in the weekend, so there might be someone sniffing around,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah,
doesn't sound like it's a
BMW
done
only
deal.
wanted to buy the automotive part of the
Uh-huh.
group, didn't they?
I see.
And so that's where the whole group thing came from, I think. But I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's say McLaren do get sold. I mean, what does you can't get rid of the McLaren as a brand or as a Formula One team.
No, but if they start making their own engines, what do you call it in them? McLaren Audi, McLaren Bugatti. Ooh, that'd be cool.
No. McLaren make their own engines for their cars anyway. It's fine.
Yeah, not Lamborghini again, because we all remember Lamborghini in Formula One.
Well, we don't.
Sorry, Lamborghini DNPQ, to give it its full title. Is that better?
Yes.
So yeah, the McLaren statement was McLaren's technology strategy has always involved ongoing discussions and collaboration with relevant partners and suppliers, including other car makers. However, there has been no change in the ownership structure of the McLaren Group.
So Autosport now seems to be
Autocar.
on the Autosport article about how wrong the Autocar one was. They are now saying that there potentially is a Audi McLaren F1 partnership being lined up for 2026 when the engine regs are currently scheduled to change.
Right.
It was a.
Is that in the same story that VW were looking at putting in a team as well?
Oh, that's all part of the same group, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. There was another one as well. The Spectator, their news, daily news feed had reported on it as well.
What were they saying?
Just that they talked about the buy-in, that there's been rumours and talks that the Audi were buying McLaren.
McLaren's not a publicly listed company, is it? It's privately owned.
Mostly Bahraini royal family, some Latifi dad.
Yeah. So it would be.
And probably a handful of Toto as well.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. Yeah, it wouldn't have to be in the news before it was confirmed, would it? Because that would, if it's a publicly owned company, you have to publicly state that you're in a takeover before you can get taken over.
Yeah, no. If it's a private limited company, then you can do what the hell you want, basically.
Pretty much.
Business
podcast, everyone.
Yeah. It would be nice. It would be nice for McLaren to be owned by a manufacturer. I know they are their own works team, but it would be nice to if their money and investment came from somebody that was invested in motorsport, not somebody that's invested in a million other things all around the world.
Like Toto.
Like Toto.
As far as I can tell,
No,
Toto
he's just
currently does not own any shares in McLaren.
Probably puts them in a minority on the grid.
Yeah, I fucking doubt it.
He might not own any shares in McLaren, but do his management team not have a stake in Lando Norris?
Oh, possibly. Yeah, there are a number of companies that are blatant, sort of limited, hide who's actually really involved type things. He could be one of those for all I know.
I Heart Susie W Limited.
Yeah. Chances are he owns the back tire of your car.
Does he now?
Who? Toto Wolff?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I drive an Alfa Romeo. He definitely
I
doesn't
drive
own
a
any part of that.
Hyundai.
He'll have some investment in it.
Right, top two teams, starting with Checo in fourth with the fastest lap. I think Red Bull did the right thing pitting him because there was no way that he was going to catch Bottas. He was running.
Perez, no,
he was running
not
out.
a chance.
He was running out of laps. I think he needed.
He had a full pit stop behind him anyway. So I mean, to take the point away from Lewis and away from Mercedes was the right thing for Red Bull to do.
Yeah.
Mercedes would have and have had done the same thing previously. So
Well, they had
totally.
They had 2 goes at it last time out.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, sorry we didn't get to review Mexico. It was dull. Shit happened. But Bottas had 2 pit stops to try and make the fastest lap. He succeeded in the end. The end.
Terrible race.
I don't think it was terrible. It was okay.
It was
thoroughly bored.
It was kind of meh. I already can't really remember what happened.
There was a DJ that played to a disinterested crowd on the podium.
Lots nearly happened.
Yes, that's exactly the type of race it was.
Yeah.
Something nearly went on.
Just when we thought it was about to get started, it didn't.
Yeah.
And I argued with Tiffany Dell again.
Oh, well, that was probably more interesting than the race.
And he retweeted my tweet to him, and I got lots of hate. I think it was quite funny. Yeah, he said that F1 was boring. He said he forgot how boring F1 can be with these heavyweights in it. So I tweeted him back within like 40 seconds of him doing the tweet. Just stop watching it then.
Well, yeah.
But if you're complaining about it, but then I got lots of hate. People saying, "Oh, but he does a sports podcast. How can he possibly do a podcast if he hasn't watched the race?" I was like, "Snap." Like,
Yeah.
well, like not every race is going to be a classic. It doesn't help if big names, notable names, people whose names are known to be attached to motorsport, go on social media and go, "Oh, this is boring. It's rubbish." Well, yeah, that's going to help. That's going to help improve the sport.
Remind me how good fucking touring cars are now.
Hang on, this is Tiffany Dell who
I don't want to
attempted
with
to
him.
attempted to race in 2 Grand Prix.
He did race, didn't he? He raced in Belgium and then somewhere else, I think.
He retired in Belgium in 1980 and DNQ'd in Monaco the following week.
Belgium and then Monaco. What a strange calendar. Yeah.
So he's raced in Formula One in 1980. So therefore, he has been around Formula One for at least 41 years. So he knows that surely should know that every race isn't going to be a classic.
No, well, that's all the point I was trying to make. Because not every race is going to be a classic. Although I think we are in for an end of a classic season that's going on between, Max and Lewis, Red Bull and Mercedes. I really don't know which way it's going to go, like I said earlier. But yeah, I didn't want to start a war with the man. Just totally disagree with what he said.
So listeners should go and start
I
a war
think-
with him instead.
Don't start a war with Tiffany Dell.
I mean,
Generally speaking, he's okay. I just didn't agree with what he said.
for the bants, if you want to,
Start
just don't
a war
include
with
our
Wayne?
names.
Start a war without telling him why.
That's on you.
I was going to say something. I've forgotten. I that was it. I think this is the best season of Formula One in Formula One history.
Bold.
It's one of the best. It's definitely the best in the turbo hybrid era. It's probably the best since.
It's the best since Schumacher Hakkinen, but the Schumacher Hakkinen never had as many races together as Verstappen and Hamilton have had. We've had on track action nearly every
I
race
was going
with
to say,
these two.
it wasn't just on track action this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know that Schumacher and Hakkinen ever came together.
No,
Yeah.
I think it was because they had tight championships. But
Yeah.
one weekend the Ferrari would be quick, and then the next weekend the McLaren would be quick, and they just swapped the results that way.
Yeah.
Whereas these cars have been so evenly matched, the drivers are evenly matched. I don't think there's been a better season since I've been watching Formula One.
I mean, it's easy to forget how tense 2016 was with Hamilton and Rosberg, but that was the same car.
Yeah,
They were in Mercedes together. This is, two different teams where the other, the number 2 driver in each team plays a pivotal role in what happens as well. And yeah, for 2 drivers to be going at it with, as good support from their teammates, I think you probably do have to go back that far. Because even the Alonso Schumacher fights, yeah, okay, you had, Schumacher, whoever he was in a minor fight with the championship for when he had his dominant period, either Barrichello or Massa were there to, support him. But yeah, you've got to go back to I think you're right. You do have to go back to Schumacher Hakkinen for the last time, 2 drivers in 2 cars, where the number 2 drivers were also pivotal as to what was happening in the constructors.
Mhm.
And those 2 teams and drivers were so far out and ahead of everyone else. And that was 21 years ago now.
Yeah, and it's
22 years ago.
And even like the classic seasons that we see, that we hear about, Senna and Prost and stuff like that, you forget just how dominant one team was in those situations. And
there was only 15 races the year that Senna and Prost first fought for the championship.
yeah, I remember us sat in my house years ago when Dan was on the show as well, and I can't remember why we were doing it or how it even came about. But we ended up watching highlights from it was a Senna year. I can't remember what year it was, and we were talking about how split up the field was and how so many of the races were just dominated by one driver and completely dominated by a team. Whereas this year, it feels like it should be like that. It feels like it shouldn't have been as exciting as it is. But I think when you go back and you watch the highlights of this year, it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I mean, they're already replaying parts of this season. And it played out this weekend in Brazil as well, sort of the fight that we've been having with, Red Bull and Mercedes and Max and Lewis. But I said I wasn't going to make this podcast all about Lewis Hamilton, but I can't remember a drive better than that from Lewis Hamilton in his entire career.
No.
Well, when did he start a race in 10th and win the race by 10 seconds?
Well, I mean, realistically, the biggest achievement was on Saturday for him.
Yeah, the sprint race. I mean, without the sprint race, as we said earlier, it probably wouldn't have had such an impact in the Grand Prix. But
FTSE Racing overtakes, though, within 25 laps.
Yeah.
It's not bad going.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, again, I get the feeling people were a bit tentative in the sprint, and he maybe would have been fought a bit harder in the Grand Prix had he had to pass all those cars in the Grand Prix.
Yeah.
But starting 10th from a race that's never been won further back from 8th, all right, as Brazilian Grand Prix go, it was fairly pedestrian because they can be full of excitement, especially when the weather has its part to play as well. Watching Hamilton charge through up to 5th in 4 laps, and then just all right, Bottas let him pass. Let's not forget that.
Yeah, I was going to say, and he made 14 racing overtakes on Saturday and 8 racing overtakes on Sunday, and 1. Did Bottas actually park to let him pass?
It was
he slowed down a
particularly slow.
lot. Yeah. I don't know what to say. I said the last time we recorded a podcast, which is obviously before the Mexican Grand Prix, I said this is going to go to Max and Red Bull because Mercedes are making too many little mistakes and Red Bull just aren't. But when someone drives, okay, yeah, he had a new motor in the back of his car, but when someone drives like that, what are you supposed to do? This was supposed to be a circuit where Red Bull was supposed to be really good. Much like at Austin, where Mercedes are supposed to be really good. It's just I don't know. I was lost for words after that. Again, I'm going to get accused of being a Hamilton fanboy, and that's fine. But that was stunning. Absolutely stunning.
I got accused of being a Hamilton fanboy yesterday by simply posting incredible drive. And the funny thing is I was called a Hamilton fanboy while I was doing Hot Lap, saying I'm probably going to get a Hamilton fanboy, and then my thing, and then this little notification turned up. I was like, "Oh, there it is."
Fantastic.
Now, the turn 4 thing, that was a little iffy. Not from the part of the drivers, but show me the difference between that and what happened with Lando in Austria.
I think the stewards were scared to interfere with the championship.
They said they didn't have Maxes on board. Why?
Bullshit. They didn't want to get involved because they knew the backlash that it could have had if they cost Max the race. And what they've done, because I mean that's the thing. It's by saying it's not even the fact that they didn't have it. It's not the fact they didn't have it because they said we're not going to look into it.
Yeah, like
so they didn't even bother looking at it. They didn't investigate it, and for me, it was a slam dunk 5-second penalty for Max.
It depends whether I've got to see the onboard, and I know we may never see it, but if he opens up that steering, if he opens up that steering wheel, and it kind of looked like he does from the angles we've seen, we can't tell though until we ever see the onboard. That's dirty, man. You don't do that.
I think there's another thing to look at as well. If you go back and look at that incident, when Hamilton gets alongside him and he's got maybe his front wheels and front wing in front, and it's at that point you can see he's going to make that move. Verstappen shoots forward and goes next to him again.
Yeah, under braking, which is what Max has said. Now, I do understand Max's explanation that they both kind of outbraked themselves into the corner and they both ran wide.
I think he stopped
Max
braking.
I think Max was running wider than Lewis, but I don't want to say it was deliberate until we see the onboard. But yeah, I mean, don't
think Lewis
don't
was
turn
destined.
into Michael Schumacher.
Yeah,
don't turn into Michael Schumacher.
I don't
That's
think
a dirty
Lewis was
trick to play.
destined for it. I don't think Lewis was destined for running wide. I think the only reason he ran wide was because he got ahead of Max. Max thought, shit, he's getting around the outside of me here, and he just lifted his foot off the brakes. And that at that point he shot forward. That's when he's got far too much speed to make the corner. So I think it was Max just deciding, I'm going to have a crash with you if you don't do something about this.
Maybe, but yeah, that just hard racing though. I mean, I don't mind hard racing.
I think it's if we're going to complain about track limits, yeah, and we're going to complain about drivers like going off and getting an advantage from going off, then we've got to do the same with overtaking and being overtook. If Verstappen had managed to push Lewis out and keep his car on the track, it's a different situation. As I've said all year, like even with like the Silverstone thing, if you're going to go around the outside of a driver, then it's your job to get the move done, and you need to expect to be treated harshly for trying to go around the outside. But the fact that Max didn't make the corner, for me, like that he wasn't defending. You know, if you want to talk about leaving the track and gaining a lasting advantage, how about forcing yourself and the guy you're racing off track to hold position?
Yeah, and that's the argument, isn't it?
Yeah. So to me, it was there's nothing surer than that should have been a 5-second penalty. I don't know if I wanted to see that, because at the end of the day, the result remained the same. But if Max had got that penalty, you might have had a Mercedes 1-2 instead.
Yeah, possibly. It's just the whole inconsistencies. One minute it's just let them race. The next minute it's, oh, you went within 2 inches of him, therefore you deliberately made a move to try and force him off track. You're going to get a penalty for this.
Michael Massey's the worst thing to happen to Formula One since one-shot qualifying.
Oh, that was a thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean,
I enjoyed his sassy radio though.
Sassy Matty.
Yeah.
I'm getting sick of hearing it, to be honest. I think it makes Formula One look really petty.
I quite
Right,
like
you know,
the
it's,
pettiness.
I don't know if I don't know
Oh.
if you've noticed, but when it comes to sporting directors and complaining to the FIA, it fucking is.
Yeah, I know, but I don't want to hear it. It's like seeing the manager of a shop berate one of his staff on the shop floor.
I quite like it, if I'm honest. I quite like the teams putting their bits forward to the race director, because the race director's not a steward. He doesn't necessarily make the decisions, but he's, and I've said this previously, he's a less strong voice perhaps in the sport than his predecessor was, and I think that position warrants a firm standpoint on more than more than just racing, but on safety as well. And Massey isn't very firm. He's quite laid back and a bit more softer approach. So shall we say?
He's South African, isn't he?
No, he's Aussie. He's Aussie. Can't you tell?
Oh, is
By
he?
the
Oh,
upward
I thought...
inflection. Everything he says sounds like a question. He's Ron
I don't- well, does
Burgundy.
No, but he's dead muted, isn't he? He hasn't got the upspeak thing.
Yeah, no,
But,
he doesn't do
yeah,
a huge...
I-
He's more sort of like South Australian. He's quite flat.
Oh, I don't know. He does it. He
Yeah.
does it quite a bit when you can tell when he's getting agitated about something because it really kicks in. Although the what was it? Your concerns have been noted.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you for raising those. Your concerns have been
I think
noted.
it was thank you for your input.
No,
I
that was
think
it, that was
particularly the line.
And then you're welcome.
I don't want Formula One to have a Karen club, and that's what it feels like. It just
Too late.
I think
Karen
the issue is
Horner
they
already
have
exists.
the Karen Club. It's just we've not heard about it
Yeah.
before. The Karen Club has always existed.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest one was on
Mercedes have got their own as well, haven't they? Caron Meadows.
Karen Chanduk.
Yeah, I mean the biggest one was on the pit wall for Sky all weekend. Windsor Spice.
Like that.
That's one of Jeff Sharp's, who denies it, but it was definitely him that said it. He's going to shout at us for naming him for that one again. I mean, right, okay, so we have done Checo, really, so Hamilton and Verstappen. Bottas, he played the number 2 role properly this weekend.
Almost. It was almost a perfect performance from Bottas. Had he caught and passed Max, that would have been the perfect number 2 weekend for Bottas. Sprint pole, as we said, he's won the 2021 Sprint Championship, if that's a thing. If they're going to do it,
Unofficial
if they're gonna do
It
crown.
is now.
yeah, if they're going to do it in 2022, then the 2021 champion is Bottas.
Yeah. Yeah, because you can't have an inaugural championship when the same things happened the year before.
No, exactly. Yeah. So, a great sprint race. And a pretty solid weekend for Valtteri Bottas.
I did say before the start on Sunday, I'm just wondering how the pressure of getting such a great start on Saturday is getting to him and having to repeat it. And lo and behold, he didn't get anywhere near as good a start on Sunday as he did on Saturday.
Maybe I just think it's Bottas being Bottas.
Not predictably unpredictable.
Yeah, because I mean, don't forget he had the tire advantage as well, didn't he? In the sprint race.
Yeah, he had softs. Yeah,
He was on softs compared to Max on mediums. But that was a phenomenal start that he had on Saturday.
Yeah.
You know, he was just off the line, away and ahead, and absolutely done.
If he could only pin a season together, he might actually have a championship to his name.
Now you're in fantasy land.
yeah. I still think it's Bottas would have had to, never mind Windows 11. We'd have to be looking at Bottas 11, in order to get even close to the deity that is Lewis Hamilton. Let's be honest.
Gone from fanboy to worshipper.
Pretty much, not at all. Yeah, it's just, I'm not making the whole podcast about one man because that's not what it's all about. But that this weekend, is it a turning point, do you think? Is this where Lewis has kind of refound his mojo purely by the fact that he was disqualified from qualifying for an infringement, which is totally, his wing was illegal. It's totally fair. But has that given him the old school kick up the arse that we would see from early days Mercedes, definitely in McLaren, Hamilton, where he would just next 3 or 4 races he would just go out and absolutely nail everything?
I think it's all going to depend on whether this advantage can be kept. Like we've seen Mercedes have had this problem with their engine this year. I would suggest that, don't get me wrong, unless Lewis breaks down, I would suggest that maybe they've fixed this issue with the car they had this weekend. And if they've fixed the issue, and all of a sudden they can run that Mercedes engine how we're used to seeing them run it, then Max might be in a little bit of trouble.
Well, you say that. I spotted 3 times under braking or deceleration blue smoke coming out the back of Lewis Hamilton's car yesterday. I wouldn't not be surprised if they said something about his engine at the next race. Oh, we can't use that one again.
If they can do, and it's going to be track specific as well, but somebody messaged me yesterday saying this: is it worth, if they can get that speed advantage, throwing a new engine in that car every weekend now for the rest of the season? Given the fact that they have to be aggressive to win the championship. So you might be right. It could be that. I suspect, though, that because I saw the blue smoke after you messaged the group, and I saw it on the pit straight as he was coming down coming down into T1. I feel that might have just been the the plank hitting the deck. I think it might just be bottoming out and not actually smoke.
Yeah, maybe. It just seemed odd that it was always under, not necessarily braking, but deceleration coming off the gas.
I don't know whether it was just because you implanted the idea in my brain, but when you messaged to say there was blue smoke, it felt like the director was focusing on the rear of the car a lot more than the front of the car, as if they were also like, ooh, was that smoke? Let's have a look.
It's not something I noticed. I completely missed it. I was away.
No, I didn't see it, but I noticed a lot of the rear end of the car right at the end of the race.
I feel if it had been, I think somebody else would have picked it up. Like a Ted in the notebook or something like that.
Yeah. I don't think it got mentioned. Didn't watch the notebook this week.
Yeah, I've not seen a huge amount of fallout about it.
I watched the notebook. It wasn't in it, but who knows? Who fucking knows?
So, Rockstar...
Could be a normal thing that I just noticed yesterday.
Could be. Rockstars and wankers. Obviously, Hamilton, Rockstar.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Sonoda was a bit wankery.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd go.
Yeah.
I'd go with that.
Ruined Stroll's race.
Yeah. Michael Massey, wanker.
No, not necessarily. I don't think so.
Stewards.
Not having the onboard from that incident, I think is a bit like, how do we not have onboard? We've got every camera angle in the world, but not the one that shows what Max was doing with the steering wheel. We need.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Lando
to see that to make judgment.
I think it's more the fact. I was just gonna say, I think it's more the fact that they didn't look into it. That's what gets me. If they'd have gone in, looked at, done a review of it, come back over the radio, said, "Yeah, we've looked at it. It's a racing incident. Carry on." But to turn around and say, "Yeah, no investigation necessary," when your number 1 and number 2 car forced each other off the circuit, is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, apparently they only went on what was on TV. And then didn't.
Is it not the whole point of the stewards, though, that they have more of the angles than what is on TV?
Yes,
you think so?
They only went off the broadcast coverage, apparently.
Yeah, I assumed they had infinite replays from all the angles. That's the whole point, is that they have, like, all the eyes on the thing.
I'm pretty sure you could have done a better job trying to work out what had happened with a standard F1 TV subscription.
Then again,
Than what
was
they
the
did.
whole Verstappen touching the rear wing thing, did that not initially all come about because of a fan video?
Yes.
Which again
Yeah.
is silly.
Yeah, weird.
Yeah, I just wonder, did Mercedes have a plant in the crowd or something? Then again, it's probably
No,
true.
but you shouldn't be touching other people's cars.
No, that is true.
Don't touch other people's rear ends.
Yeah, when it goes to the tribunals, right, show us on the scale extric where you touched it. Lando's a rock star for the recovery drive.
And a bit of a wanker for fucking his own race up.
Yeah, for having to have a recovery drive in the first place.
Yeah.
Yeah, both for Lando.
And the German Nazi Participation Award, going on what we saw, everybody from 12th downwards for me.
Yeah.
I would say possibly German Nazi Participation Award to Mick Schumacher.
No, he shat carbon fibre all over the track. He had an impact.
He had a participation. He was there.
Yeah, I was ashamed for Seb. Not he was in and out of the points all afternoon, finishing 11th. You know, it was a shame for him not to actually manage to snaffle that into the points.
Yeah, I think his performance for the rest of the weekend kind of deserved it, but you don't win a champ. All right, the saying used to be you don't win a championship on Saturdays, but apparently that's going to change next season.
No, you're not going to win a championship on Saturday, but you're going to be able to get a championship for Saturdays.
Are we now going to start saying you don't win a championship on Fridays?
Yes.
Right.
But you can lose a championship on Fridays.
Oh God, yeah.
Here's before we finish it. Quick thing. Then we've had all the sprint races, haven't we?
Yes.
Are we all in favour of sprint races now?
With tweaks.
Yeah, I think some form of sprint race, yes.
Yeah, I
Exactly
am.
what? I don't know. I do not have the answers, but yeah, some kind of sprint like it.
Yeah, make,
Yeah, I mean,
make
to
them
be
more
fair,
meaningful.
it would be quite the turnaround, wouldn't it? After fucking what? When did we start doing this podcast? 2015.
2014. Oh, yeah, 2015. Sorry.
Yeah,
for
yeah.
2015, yeah.
So pretty much from the minute we started doing podcasts, I've championed Saturday sprint races because of the F2 format. Wouldn't it be turnaround if I turned around now and said, "Do you know what? Don't really like it."
How's that song go? Be careful what you wish for. Dreams sometimes come true.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because we had a big thing about how we're going to fix Formula One, like
And
way back.
Just before you start this one, Chris, and I will be in awe of anyone who can actually name the song and the band that I got that line from.
No, I wasn't even listening.
All right,
I
yeah,
wasn't listening.
yeah, honey, yeah. Careful what you ask for, because dreams sometimes come true.
It sounds like China in Your Hand by Tapao, but it's not.
It really isn't.
No. But the
Is that X-Pac's favourite song?
yeah, the the handful of China. No, the
That lady is no longer with us. Stop it.
anyway, Formula Lee, as we called it, not the competition, but when we were trying to fix Formula One years ago, Formula Lee was let's do sprint races on a Saturday. Formula Chris was let's get rid of all the aero from the
Go
top
for ground
effect.
effect.
Go for more ground effect. That's exactly what's happening.
We've just got
We've
rid.
had to wait an extra year for it, but the 2022 rules are exactly what we asked for like 5 years ago.
I can't believe that Formula One have used all our ideas and not took us with them.
I know, bastards.
I reckon that we'll get taken with them when they get rid of DRS, which was my one, and no more overfakes.
That's for 2026, isn't it? Possible, but it's staying for the current 2022 formula.
According to Ross Brawn, they might get rid of it beforehand if it proves to be not worth it.
Mm. Yeah, I suppose they could just you could stop opening your wing, couldn't you? So that's not really that difficult.
I suppose it would be
Disconnect the button. Done.
maybe they get rid of it if it was actually detrimental to racing. You know, whether it was just because of the cars following each other so closely, hopefully, and being able to race each other, and it all of a sudden like overtakes are just slam dunks and nobody actually does anything because the minute you come to the next DRS zone, you just swap positions again. I suppose they get rid of it if it was detrimental to the actual racing.
Either that, or you can use it anywhere. And if you want to go around a corner with your wing fully open, good luck.
Yeah.
Did they not used to do that in practice? Was it? In practice, you could
practice.
use
Yeah, practice and quali, you could use it anywhere. That's
It didn't always go
Didn't
well.
Mark Webber get it stuck open at some point and had to do an entire FP1 with his wing open because they couldn't close it.
I think there was it started to become places like Spa, for instance. Was it, in fact, it might have even been Eau Rouge was the first place, like the first, right, you can't use it here. I remember that being a thing where there was just certain corners where they were like, yeah, well, you let's not, okay?
Talking of Eau Rouge, they're reprofiling it for next year.
I'm not keen, not going to lie.
Straightening it, aren't they?
Yeah,
no,
well, it's more of a corner.
They're turning it back into a corner again, which, according to Statman, is how it used to be pre-1979.
Yeah, that's great. Lots of things were like that pre-1979. I'm not a fan of, if I'm honest.
Well, people are still going to take it as fast as possible, so it just means if you get it even wronger, goodbye. I thought they were straightening out Radion, like just further down.
They might be doing that as well.
Rouge
Yeah,
was
there's
easier
the
to
bump.
take.
I think they're trying to get the bump out, aren't they? That keeps launching people,
Yeah.
which is probably a good thing.
Yes.
See, that's a fine idea, but I'm not like to. See, I think that the difference here is I've seen Formula One cars go up that, and it's fucking awe-inspiring when you see how, like, on the exit as they go into the corner, like the amount of grip they've got for the speed they're going, and you can see them starting to slide. It's a shame that that's not going to happen anymore.
I think it'll still happen. I think it'll still be quick, but I think what they're doing is sort of pulling it a little bit more.
No, the only way you get that is if they take it flat. And you won't be able to take this flat. You'll have to brake going into it.
And then I think they're pulling the exit a little bit more to the right, so they can sort Radion out as well.
The aero for next year is supposed to be a reduction in downforce. It's still downforce, but I mean the reduction in overall downforce. So whilst it's going to make cars easier to follow each other because there's going to be less of a wake coming off the car in front, it also means they might have to take some fast corners just a little bit slower.
I think that if we'd have gone back into a situation where cars had to lift going into Eau Rouge, I think the days of like the flat Eau Rouge would have been gone with the new cars. But it's not going to be a case of lifting now. It's going to be a case of braking, going into it, and accelerating up the hill.
I don't think that's going to be the case at all.
Well,
no, Eau Rouge is the corner at the top of the hill.
Yeah, no.
They're going to be braking at the bottom of the hill.
Oh, sorry. They're going to be breaking into it. Yeah, so they're going to be breaking into Radion and into Eau Rouge. But I think it's a shame. Like I think maybe there was more they could have done, like safety wise, that didn't involve altering the corner as much as they did. Like you say, I mean, the big thing for people going off this year was that fucking stupid bump that was in the car, or that was on the track. You know, that's ridiculous to have a bump on a track that, when the car's light, unsettles the car and you lose the back end. That's just the fuck that laying the tarmac. Maybe just relaying the tarmac would have been the first move rather than the overcautious thing that they've done here. But who knows?
Well, like I said, I don't think it's overcautious. I think it's just changing the profile a bit slightly.
It's not slightly though. It's not. It's a big change to turn a corner that was flat into a corner which is now going to be a brake, maybe even a gear.
Oh, it's not. It's not even going to be close to that.
I did. It will be. That's going to be like breaking into a corner.
It's difficult to tell
don't
as well,
think it's
isn't it,
gonna be breaking.
when you've got a new form, like a new style of car coming.
Yeah, maybe. But I like from when I was looking at pictures of it, and like I said, I'm convinced they're going to be breaking into that. It's not going to be like a lift, and then going through it a couple 100 miles an hour. And it's just a shame because that was a spectacle still in Formula One. Like Eau Rouge was a spectacle, and now it's still going to be a good corner. I just think it's lost some of the spectacle.
We will agree to disagree until September.
It's one of those, isn't it? Until it happens, you don't know.
You don't know until you see it. Right, quick predictions for Qatar this week. We have got.
Ooh. Forgotten about Qatar.
Yeah. What the hell? Hamilton, Verstappen, Perez.
Okay. I'm going to go Verstappen, Hamilton, Norris.
Ooh. You two still there?
Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen.
Going exactly the same as Lee for a change. Hamilton, Bottas, Verstappen.
Not 1 week a year when you agree with each other.
The fight back begins.
If you want to put your predictions in, go to the website threelegs4wheels.com, go to the game section, and go to the 2021 Prediction League. And you can put in your top 3, pole, fastest lap, will there be a safety car, and how many not classifieds. So DNSs, DNFs, and didn't do 90% of the race. And there's 3 races to go, and it's pretty tight at the top of the league at the minute. I assume we're going to give Total Shunt a miss tonight because we've already been doing this for over 2 hours and it's nearly 10:30.
She's a longie.
Yeah,
She's
we've been
a longie.
chatty.
There was a lot to talk about.
I have one in the bank, and I'll keep that for next week.
I've got
Gives me an opportunity to say happy birthday to long-time listener, and Lee's told me to get a room with him earlier on tonight, Kieran Thompson.
Who is stateside at the moment, I think.
After taking his first ever flight.
Ah.
No way. First flight.
Yeah, he went to
Yeah.
an NFL game, I think.
I did
Yes, he
see
did.
the NFL picture. I just thought he turned up at Wembley a couple of weeks later.
He
No,
picked the wrong race to miss. Like,
Yeah, I saw a couple of tweets from him that were along the lines of, "Oh, bollocks." Right, we'll be back next week with a review of whatever the hell happens in Qatar. Also, a review of Maurice Hamilton's new book, Murray Walker Incredible, which I have a copy of in front of me, and there'll be a chance to win a copy as well. We've been given a couple of copies to give away.
Exciting.
Oh, amazing.
did you say Murray Walker's new book?
No, I said Maurice Hamilton's new book, Incredible Murray Walker.
Ah, right, cool.
Oh, Murray Walker Incredible.
Is it a biography?
It's anecdotes and stories about
nice.
about Murray from drivers, mechanics, journalists, commentators. Basically, it's a celebration of Murray.
Brilliant.
Sounds like
So-
a solid stocking filler.
I am looking forward to reading that over the next few days, and I'll tell you all what it's like at the end. And like I said, we'll have some copies to give away. And we're trying to get Maurice Hamilton himself on the show.
That'd be great.
That'd be cool.
Absolute dad present, isn't it?
It is.
Guess what you're getting your dad for Christmas?
Oh, he's not a big reader. Certainly, especially not now at this age.
So you're getting your dad an Audible subscription and the audio version of the book.
Maybe, yeah, maybe.
If you want to get in touch, drop us a line, threelegs4wheels@gmail.com. If there's any questions you want to ask on the podcast as well, we'll work through those. Nothing came in last week, or nothing that I can find. So now to really say, I've got a couple of total shunts as well. So we'll do a Christmas show with extra added shunts again this year because that was a good.
Yeah, that went so well last time.
Yeah, kind of. Get in touch with us individually. We all are on the socials. Lee, you go first because you normally do it after the shunt.
I'm at a total shunt on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
And you can get me at Pablo100.
I am at Sean Cowper.
Flood21.
And of course, at 3 Legs 4 Wheels on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram for the general all four of us. Right, we will see you next week, and
We will.
It'll be interesting to see what Qatar brings. Nobody making any phlegm jokes or anything like that.
No.
I was thinking
I-
about making a guitar joke, but
Yeah,
I
me
decided
too.
against it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll just be good to see what 4 wheels are like on a track that we all know for 2 wheels. How about that?
Yeah.
Right, we'll see you next week. Don't catch norovirus. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao.